Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, allow me to thank TASA for this great opportunity. I am deeply honored to be part of your conference this year. I would also wish to pay my respects to Margaret Hsu, who has been an inspiration to many of us in the quest to establish democratic, sustainable, and creative spaces for collaboration. It is quite apt that the main theme for the annual meeting is the tension of invisible gaze, cultural diversity, and inclusivity. In this session are topics that are not only embedded in my practice, but have also been at the heart of many conversations that I have had through the years, not only with Margaret, but also with a number of you. What will transpire this afternoon is an offer from me. I will offer some personal insights, experiences, and thoughts, but it will be up to you to see what would be viable in your context, what will be useful in your community, and what will be relevant to your own practice. Please do not consider me as an expert or as someone who is successful or as someone who knows more than you. Rather, consider me as a perennial student who is always just trying to learn something new every day. Just to give a very brief background, my artistic and curatorial practice has always been based in Manila. The exhibitions that I have been part of, the museums I curated, and the art initiatives that I helped direct were all based in the urban capital. In October of 2019, I made the move to relocate. I wanted to contribute to the decentralization of the arts, which was primarily in Manila. As someone who advocates for accessibility and the democratization of the practice, I felt compelled to help create inclusive opportunities outside of the national capital region. For my talk, I will be using my perspective as the founder of a fairly new art space that I established in February 2020, and it's called Cantina. Here, I also immersed in Rojas City, Capiz. It is from Cantina's lens, two of our previous projects and our usual activities that I wish to illustrate my viewpoints regarding cultural leadership and leadership vision. These will be interspersed with specific learnings that have informed my practice and our operations in Cantina. Rojas City, which is the capital of Capiz, is a province that is part of the Visayan region of the Philippines. It is quaint and laid back. While it is a city, it still has the trappings of a rural town, which was very attractive for me. Incidentally, it is also known as the seafood capital of the country, and you can be at the beach in 10 minutes. Unlike the traffic in Manila, most of the places I need to reach are within a 5 to 10-minute radius via a tricycle, which is the main mode of public transportation here. Anyway, after a bit of search and some renovation, Cantina, as I mentioned, was founded in February of 2020. Sadly, the following month, the pandemic hit, and like the rest of the country, we were all in lockdown. I have always believed that a big part of our work as artists, curators, arts managers, teachers, and cultural workers is about engagement and relationship building. And we do that through the lens of arts and culture. However, Cantina, being a space for co-learning and co-creation, we had to recalibrate the co-part of the equation. I'm sure that your own spaces had to deal with this same problem as well due to COVID-19. In order to adjust to the situation, we had to redefine, refocus, reclassify, and clarify within ourselves what we could and could not do. In Filipino, culture is defined as such. Ang kultura ay ang pamana ng ating kagalingan at karangalan. Culture is an inheritance of our excellence and dignity as a people. Since it encompasses our evolving way of life, it involves character building and values formation. Art is also a facet of culture, together with habits, belief systems, artifacts, and objects. With these characterizations of culture, we at Cantina are mindful of the following: that culture is vital for binding a community, that culture is essential for development, and that culture is the mirror of our soul. These points inform and motivate us on how we conceptualize and execute our projects. We are steadfast in adhering to it despite the global crisis, as can be gleaned in our short profile video. Given the situation now, we had to adapt our methods of implementation, but we remained true to our core values and the fundamentals of cultural work. First, it involves the orchestration of citizens in a community towards well-defined and strategized activities for development. Second, the knowledge that culture has value to both the individual and the people. And lastly, that it supplies the need for enlightenment and humanism. To illustrate this, I would like to share some images from Turo Turo, a joint project of 98B, the Hub, and Cantina. This was exhibited at the Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Seoul, Korea in June 2020. Our initiatives made use of colloquial concepts to look at the intersections of locality and localization within the context of our diverse communities, connections, and concerns in relation to current issues. Turo Turo and Turo in Filipino are words that conjure special meanings. When repeated, it pertains to a neighborhood eatery that offers a variety of dishes, usually home-cooked, prepared by enterprising members of a community. And it's characterized by the manner in which you order food. The other definition of turo is to point or to teach. And in this aspect, it's the method employed when you have chosen your dishes. So literally, turo or turo is a point-point system, and it's an effective way to convey what you want with the smallest bit of explanation. So Turo Turo was a program of activities and conversations. As the events occurred, participants communally built the installation through ephemera, videos, and shared memories. The project looked at non-art forms and expressions as forms of resistance as it brings the everyday into the contemporary art practice. As a multi-sensory experience, it also hoped to illuminate shared cultural understanding, development, and the significance of collective care. We also showcased 3 video works. Cantina's coastal location served as a unifying backdrop in this compilation, whether from an individual's perspective, an advocacy standpoint, or ruminations in confinement. Our environment played a role in terms of being an inspiration and motivation for the videos that we presented. We also conducted an online workshop on pressed flower craft during the course of the project. This highlighted the foliage of Rojas City. A portion of the installation was interactive, so visitors of the museum were asked several questions that pertain to art and culture. People answered via notes. We were actually quite surprised with the level of engagement that people had, since we had to buy more Post-its because a lot of people wrote down their feelings. This sort of summed it up. Art and culture give people the freedom or voice during these oppressive times. Essentially, in relation to our programming, cultural leadership paradigms are at play. While not overt, its indirect manifestations are quite apparent. As such, we take into account the following: public view and outlook. Public value is related to the purpose. We must be clear on the goals that we want to achieve, how it creates legitimacy and trust for what it does. How we run our activities is also as important as the goal it is aiming at. How do we consider our audience? Public value also refers to key areas of concerns and opportunities. We must reflect on the value of what we do and why it matters. Why does our art or our work have meaning? Last June 2020, we conceptualized this project, Sa Kada Liso May Paglaom, or in English, with every seed, we plant hope. This was born out of our experience during the lockdown, where public transport was limited, mobility was hampered, groceries were not fully stocked, and of course, funds were very limited. Our homegrown vegetables, herbs, and edible plants helped sustain us. With the support of the Japan Foundation and the Capiz Tourism and Cultural Affairs Office, we were able to carry out the three-phased project. The initial phase was an open call to the residents of the province to send us photos of their gardens to showcase their creativity, resourcefulness, sustainability, and artistry. They were also asked to send photos of the meals they cook that were mainly sourced from their gardens to provide a source of inspiration, much like from garden pot to cooking pot. We were indirectly trying to engage our fellow Capiznons on defining for themselves what art and creativity was for them through something common and familiar. To a certain degree, we also wanted to inject the notion of food security on the family level, given the inadequacies of government in general. The second phase of the project was an online exhibition that focused on art projects that were triggered by the artist's own engagement with vegetables, herbs, and edible plants. These greens were used as prompts, inspirations, objects, or elements in the artwork, archive, video, photo, song, email, tattoo, and installation. The exchange and sharing of experiences were ways to better understand the predicament of each during the pandemic, to facilitate cultural understanding, and lastly, to provide another path for learning or realizing new things.
Kada liso may paglaom, kada liso may paglaom, kada liso may paglaom, kada liso may paglaom.
In the third phase, a trilingual zine was published to tie the first two components together. Essentially, this publication, which was in English, Japanese, and Hiligaynon, the local dialect, we hope to engage artists and non-artists alike to look at the creative process in relation to vegetable growing and the sense of stewardship that we can all initiate in our own backyards. The zine was a tangible way to preserve and remember this moment in our collective history. In terms of outlook, we are aware of the difference between a manager and a leader. Management is about control, specialized knowledge, and professional expertise. Leadership, on the other hand, is about the ability to formulate objectives, vision, and inspiring people to work and operate. Essentially, a cultural leader is an inventive, collaborative, and communicative coordinator of working relationships. We have also experienced that shared or joint leadership that is complemented with a flexible horizontal structure can make things easier and most of the time more enjoyable. As a team, we are not restricted to a post or a position. Our responsibilities, roles, and tasks are assumed and fulfilled by different workers at different times. We aim for professionalism characterized by participation, reflexivity, and capability. So unless proven otherwise, we can assume that we can all be cultural leaders in our own field and community. As such, it is up to us to get to know our locale, the creative practitioners around us, and the issues that we must address. Together, we can forge an understanding and eventually an action plan. There is no formula for this, and definitely there will be obstacles, maybe a lot of challenges. But don't let that paralyze you, because as cultural leaders, we are also creative leaders. And as such, we will always find ways to rise above the challenges and hurdles, nourish each other, provide growth, and be part of the change. So thank you very much for listening. And I hope that you will all consider yourselves as leaders in your own communities. Thank you.